Have you found what seems like the perfect house? Great location, beautiful garden, good schools nearby, and maybe it's even priced a little lower than similar homes in the area. But there's one question that many buyers forget to ask. Has this property ever flooded? Now before you think, it'll never happen to me, remember that flooding isn't just something that affects homes next to rivers. Surface water, heavy rainfall, blocked drains, and even overflowing sewers can all cause serious damage. I'm not saying every property in a flood risk area is a bad purchase. Plenty of people live happily in these homes for years, without ever experiencing a flood. But buying one without understanding the risks could lead to higher insurance costs, unexpected repairs, or difficulties selling the property in the future. In this video, I'll explain what flood risk really means, the hidden costs many buyers overlook, and the checks you should carry out before making an offer. Let's get started. What does flood risk actually mean? The first thing to understand is that flood risk doesn't necessarily mean a property has flooded before. It simply means there's a possibility that flooding could occur under certain conditions. In the UK, flood risk can come from several different sources. The first is river flooding. If a home is close to a river, it could be affected when water levels rise after prolonged rainfall. The second is coastal flooding. Homes near the sea may be at risk during storm surges or exceptionally high tides. The third is surface water flooding, which is becoming increasingly common. This happens when heavy rainfall can't drain away quickly enough, causing roads, driveways, and gardens to flood. There's also groundwater flooding and flooding caused by overloaded drainage systems, so don't assume that because a house isn't next to a river, it's completely safe. Why buyers overlook flood risk? Most buyers fall in love with the kitchen, the garden, or the location. Very few ask about flood history during the viewing. Some assume their solicitor or surveyor will pick it up automatically. While your conveyancer will usually carry out environmental searches, it's much better if you understand the risks yourself before spending money on surveys and legal fees. The hidden costs. Let's talk about money. Imagine moving into your new home and 6 months later there's severe flooding. Even if your insurance pays for repairs, there are still costs you might not have considered. You may have to move into temporary accommodation. Furniture, flooring, and personal belongings may need replacing. Some insurance policies have large excesses for flood claims. Premiums may increase after a claim. And if flooding becomes a recurring issue, future insurance could become more difficult or more expensive to obtain. These are costs many buyers never budget for. Could it affect the value of your home? This is something many people don't think about. When you decide to sell in 5 or 10 years, your buyer will probably carry out the same environmental searches you did. If the property has a known flood history, or is identified as being at higher flood risk, some buyers may walk away. Others may negotiate a lower price. It doesn't mean your property won't sell, but it can reduce the number of potential buyers. How can you check flood risk? The good news is that checking flood risk is easier than many people realize. Before making an offer, you should check the Environment Agency's flood maps. Ask the estate agent whether the property has ever flooded. Ask the seller directly if they've experienced flooding or made an insurance claim. Read the property information form carefully, as sellers are required to disclose certain information about previous flooding. Review the environmental searches provided during conveyancing. If anything concerns you, ask more questions before proceeding. Questions every buyer should ask. Whenever you're viewing a property, don't be afraid to ask questions like, has the property ever flooded? When did it happen? How deep was the water? What caused the flooding? Were any repairs carried out? Are there flood defenses nearby? Has the owner ever struggled to obtain insurance? A genuine seller should be willing to answer these questions honestly. Can you still buy a property in a flood risk area? Yes, you can. But only after carrying out proper research. Some properties have excellent flood defenses. Others have never flooded despite being located in an area classified as higher risk. Some owners have installed flood-resistant doors, air brick covers, pumps, and drainage improvements. The important thing is understanding exactly what you're buying. Never assume. Always investigate. My advice: if a property is significantly cheaper than similar homes nearby, ask yourself why. Sometimes it's simply because of location. Sometimes it's because buyers are concerned about flooding. A lower purchase price might seem attractive today, but think about the long-term costs, insurance, maintenance, and resale. Buying a home isn't just about today. It's about protecting your investment for years to come. Final thoughts: flood risk doesn't automatically mean you should walk away from a property, but it does mean you should slow down, do your research, and make an informed decision. Remember, never rely solely on what the estate agent tells you. Carry out your own checks. Ask questions. Read the reports carefully. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe my channel. I see you in the next video.